Hey everyone, my name's Tori. I just wanted to start in on a video series here. This is my first video, so I'm pretty excited but also really nervous. And today I wanted to talk about women empowerment. I'm also going to be making some other videos and you can request some. I'll be covering topics about different social media websites and racism, and I mean, so far I've kind of started in on those, but I don't have a whole lot of videos in the making, so if you want to request anything, please feel free to drop that in the comments. And if you don't have the time to watch the full video, I'd say at least please watch the first 5 minutes, because that's where I'm going to cover what I figure to be the most important. First things first, I've been traveling the US since graduating, and I've lived in cities, I've lived in towns, and I can say that the culture of female empowerment is largely aggregated online. And meaning that wherever I spend time in the city or out somewhere, I don't see a whole lot of it going on unless you're choosing to go to an event or a company or somewhere where it's directed towards that. It's primarily focused on that. I think a lot of people don't have a full grasp on what the actual definition of feminism is, because it has changed a lot over the years, and I think there are a lot of misconstrued definitions that people hear, or impressions that they get from certain things, so I just wanted to put that out there first. It's a lot different from where it first began. I believe we're now in the third wave, and correct me if I'm wrong, I've kind of been offline for a moment, and I think it's intersectional feminism, unless something's changed in the past few years. But, I mean, yeah, it has, obviously, but the definition of that, I'm not quite sure if there's anything that's been added to it. Yeah, I don't know, I've kind of been tuned out for a minute, but, I think, yeah, the actual definition is equality of the sexes. So that means every gender identity, really, that encompasses men, women, and anything in the LGBTQ. And if anyone really, regardless of their gender, claims that they are an advocate for female empowerment or feminism or whatever they want to title it, but their actions are contradicting their words, I think this is a big issue that I see nowadays, and I think that it can happen to a lot of people, and I think that it's good to stay educated on it, and not let things really get the best of you, because I know we've kind of all been like that girl or that person at that point in time, and the words do matter, but I really think that actions speak louder than words. Some of these people, though, know that they're not being feminist. Some people do lie about it, and I think that that's really sad. And I think that there are some people who let things get the best of them, or there are people who really just don't fully understand what it actually means to be a feminist. Because now it just entails so much more. So either way, my point is the impact that's being made. And how it's affected my life as well as the others around me, and that goes for everybody, really, is how it affects that person's life. And once it affects someone's life, it's going to affect a lot of other people's lives, even if they don't have an online presence, because, you know, everybody has friends, family, something like that. So the impact, it does make a very big difference. And I have been insulted by other women at points in time, that I've completely said, oh, I'm done with feminism, I don't want to do this anymore, because it sometimes can get oddly, I don't know, competitive or misconstrued. So these insults can be honest. For example, women telling me that I look too young to do a job right, or that to know much at all, or something passive. For example, sitting in a classroom in high school and having two girls sitting in front of me talking about how weird it is that I listen to this certain type of music or something, without saying my name, but making it obvious that they're talking about my band shirt, or by laughing when I look at them, or just turning at me and laughing, glancing at me repeatedly, or by any sort of nervous body language, here right now. And I think on rare occasions will these people be honest with you, typically, I mean, as they get older. Typically, I just tell people off somehow or ignore them, but I realize once people like this mature, they don't bicker with you or acknowledge you by laughing directly at you or making fun of something you did or said as directly. Instead, they'll try and find whatever they believe to be more personal when they obtain that through gossip or web tools and target that in hopes of weakening you. And hoping that you'll believe what they say about yourself and maybe not even realize that it was them who was trying to convince you to feel that way, and then stay interested in them and support their Instagram or business or whatever in hopes that they may have your answers or they can help you. So this is a lot of women in marketing, online, and like I said, everything's largely aggregated online. It's hard for me to find very much of, I don't know, the feminism in person, and right now I'm located somewhere that's not as big of a city, so you don't really see those events or anything, but I'm not online as much, but I was really experiencing a lot of this, and so I think with the whole thing going on with Instagram and Hot Girl Summer or whatever, I wasn't really on then, but yeah, I don't know, I guess there's a lot of I don't know, on nutrition and fitness groups or programs, advertising on Facebook, okay, and a good amount of people I'd gone to school with or was friends with at some point in time, but of course not all of them. So I'd experienced this with people that I grew up with, people that I went to college with, and then people who I'd subscribed to and maybe spoken to once on the phone or followed their website or something, and really things just kind of went downhill. What's so contradicting about this form of like feminism is the obvious narcissistic tactic behind it, which not only has the intent to disempower you for either their own self-empowerment or for money, rather than female empowerment. And there's a very big difference between selfishness and self-empowerment and female empowerment in feminism. Okay, that's a really, really big difference. But also the assumption that you believe what they say about you. So a lot of people will assume that you're going to follow into this path or whatever, and that you'll stick around and you'll let them treat you like that. And if these women need to compete like other businesses, that obviously compete, it's a lot more dishonest and passive sort of culture, I think, of competition, which can get confusing. Is now when you see businesses in competition, you think, oh, this food company versus that one, this welding company versus that one, this, I don't know, like political candidate versus that one. It's different, but they don't necessarily say that every single political candidate or food company or welding company or whatever, I don't know, this company, they don't necessarily say that they're best friends, BFFs, yay, like, here's our, I don't know, shirts that we're all gonna wear together and hold hands or something, and I think that's where things kind of can get, I mean, I don't want to say superficial, but I think women have an odd way of saying they completely support one another, acting like they do, or having some sort of image that they do through this sort of feminist culture online, pop feminism, and it kind of completely disproves that they do support each other because they're trying to compete with each other, they're trying to bring each other down, they're trying to use each other and backstab each other and then act like it's not happening with this image, and I really don't like it. It's a business, like an image for their business to make sure that people look good, but I find it very passive. So I would rather just compete and kind of cut the crap, because nobody's really buying into it. People know what's going on. I mean, at least I most certainly, I don't know. Personally, I do my own thing, or at least I really try to. So I don't find the need to compete for things that I don't need to compete for. Really, only where it matters, and not over, like, I don't know, like a t-shirt or a necklace or
quote or something, which that has happened to me. As an example, is I posted a quote to an Instagram, and someone I'd spoken to like once and had subscribed to on LinkedIn, and we were friends on LinkedIn or whatever, posted that to their like newsletter or something, and then called me and was really rude to me and stuff, and we wound up, I just hung up on her, and yeah, I don't know, but things like that. And feminism, I wouldn't really define it as hanging out with other women in wearing girly clothing or having some form of girly attire and kind of just bitching at everyone for your own selfish desires, or sitting around and talking down on other women. And I'd say feminism is definitely spending time with women of multiple gender identities, people who are transgender, and men, and empowering them where society tells them that they're forbidden to express themselves. And it's for fighting oppression and not really trying to oppress people and hoping that they turn into you and do the same thing as you because that's strength. And no, I'd say a lot of the time that's being hurt in pain, and a lot of pain maybe too much for one person, and not figuring out how to handle it without projecting it around for everyone else to share, or being a narcissist. I mean, it's a mix of feelings in there, but I think because not everyone's the same as to the reasons why they're doing those things, and it doesn't always necessarily matter the reasons why. Again, going back to the impact makes the biggest difference. So feminism, I think, is also for telling men that they don't have to be bland and boring. They can express themselves in sadness, especially, that they can express just, I don't know, like any sort of artistic side of themselves, and that they don't have to take advantage of women. I think that's important too. It doesn't mean that you're the best that you can be and you have to do that, or always be right instead of a woman, and that you can wear pink or purple or get tattoos or piercings or dye your hair, or shave your legs or wear skirts or listen to self-development podcasts or TV shows, or work on empowering yourself themselves without making it be about being better and smarter than women or minorities. Or, I think feminism is telling LGBTQ audiences that they are not crazy people who don't belong, and that they need to change because it's not a real identity, and it's not a real, that it's not real and it's made up or whatever. Feminism is not for gendering like everything, every living and non-living thing, as a boy or a girl, and blue and pink, and from the birth of kids. So like, why couldn't somebody enjoy the blue and green, I don't know, pens or notebooks as much as the pink ones? And I think when I was younger too, there was a lot of that, but you don't see as much of it nowadays, which is good. But and I think you can still wear girly things and have friends that are girls. And but I sure hope that, I'm not saying don't do that, and that's not being a feminist. What I'm saying is if you are doing that, that's not all that it is. It's more than that. And I think that also if you're going to be doing that, you need to advocate for more. You can't just buy a pink t-shirt and then not really doing anything, and then just go around and say, oh, I'm a feminist now. But I think it's also some things can get expensive, and you have to have the right means and the right resources around you to be a part of it, and not necessarily everybody is always blessed with those opportunities. So I know some causes just starting in, women don't get paid enough. I know I certainly don't. Most companies refuse to hire me, actually, and kind of harass me, and so I leave, because who really wants to say, yeah, like, that's totally fine, you can harass me, I'm just gonna stand around and let people do that to me and treat me like shit. Nobody really. And I know that a lot of people have been through it, and it doesn't mean that you're weak, and it doesn't mean that you're always going to be like that. That's not true at all. And I don't mean tough work days or simple disagreements. I mean like bad harassment. But not everyone is a narcissist, and not everyone experiences I don't know, the narcissistic harassment that I do. I mean, everyone's case is different. And I think there are some people who've probably been through similar things as me, but I think there are some people too who kind of recognize the shroud I'm in, and then they believe in me, and I know that there are very many people going through difficult things who get encouragement, and I feel that definitely a lot of the times people will look at, especially women, and say that that thing that they're going through, or like whatever, doesn't matter a whole lot, it's not enough, like, and those aren't really real problems or whatever, and that's not true at all. Your worries are always relevant. Your feelings are always relevant. And women also don't get enough leave time for pregnancy or for paid leave. And I think they're targeted against in hiring, in politics, in tech, in music, in being good at math. And I know I personally suck at math, but that's not to say for all women or all LGBTQ, which I am also a part of. And I mean, I excelled in different fields, and I was targeted in all of them. And whatever is going on with abortion laws right now, I'm not sure. If someone does want to fill me in on the comments, that'd be cool. I have no idea, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie about that. And any significant events, really, I really have been tuned out. But I can't really tell you about too much of the news and stuff itself. Yep. But and I think also too, for in terms of feminism, that a lot of it is targeting looks too and objectifying women, and I think it's important to realize that no matter what it is, no matter if it meets standards or not, so say that somebody says I'm too skinny, or this girl looks too young, or whatever, and that somebody thinks that I fit some sort of standard. Well, really, I don't, first of all. Second of all, I think that it doesn't matter, because that's still targeting my looks and objectifying me. Just because there's these standards against your weight, or your hair, or your makeup, or whatever, they're all bad, if someone is using it against you. And I think it's good to respect people in their terms of how they look, and say, yes, well, everybody has their own personal taste and who they're attracted to and stuff, but everybody's appearance deserves respect. Yeah, so I think I'm just going to wrap up right there. I was kind of, you could probably tell, it was kind of just reading off of, because this is my first video, and I was going to talk it out, but yeah. So, alright, well, leave any sort of comments, I don't know, about a suggestion for a next video, or any questions or anything, because I'm definitely interested. Let me know what you think.